Okay, day 154, the Awan Brotherhood. I'm going to go one more time to Stranahan with his citizen school for journalism. I think RT needs to be kept in the loop on this, as well as RT UK News. Best chance for MSN play. The key I want to make here today is this connection between Hillary and the Muslim Brotherhood. It's really gone on since 1984. And the key to have an intelligence cover of that activity. So those are the two things I'm going to concentrate on. You can't really have one without the other. You can't really have a functioning brotherhood if you have a U.S. military blowing it up all the time. You have to have these wiretaps and you have to have these doped routers in order to protect your field force. And as far as McCabe goes, he's smart enough to know that you use surrogates and you use the liaison loophole to do your wiretapping and hacking. You don't actually do it with your own hands. That way you don't have to report to Congress. Now this may seem a little bit like I'm, harping on Hillary with the drug business, but again, Awan, Amjad Awan, BCCI, I wasn't involved with him. Here he is again. Here he is at the Mina airport. Here he is at Iran-Contra. Mark Rich. So this, Bill Clinton's pardon, sentenced to 12 years. So this is USA versus Amjad Awan. So this shows a link to Pakistan drug business. Now, whether this is the Awan brothers' father or not, which is Muhammad Shah, whether or not Nima, the other Awan brother, is related, doesn't really matter, because Imran Awan had this Muhammad Shah on his Facebook, which is Syed Pir Muhammad Shah, right? And he's involved in the two agencies. One's SSP is a radical group that's managing territory on border areas, a rebel group, and the other is PSP, which is a Pakistani intelligence created police force. You can see here I don't know if you can see that well or not, but he's in front of quite a few recruits, police recruits and so forth. And he's here celebrating Pakistan Day, which was on the 23rd. So Pakistan Day in 1940 in Lahore, Pakistan, where he's based, was where really Pakistan was given the mandate to become its own country, splitting off at that time Bangladesh and Pakistan into one country off the wings of British India. So here is what they call the Golden Crescent. This is very famous. This used to be, before 1979, it did not produce that much heroin. It was about, I think, 10 to 20%. Now, if you look at the UN numbers, the UN ODC numbers, it's 90% of the world's opium is produced in Pakistan. And here's Punjab right here. And the reason why Punjab is so important is it's the center of Pakistani intelligence. It shows the heroin and opium coming in to Punjab from there. It also shows a very large synthetic drug business in the top of Punjab, and all kind of being processed in the middle of Punjab here. So I'll talk a little bit about the fact that Pakistan and Tajikistan are very close together, even though they're separated by a little strip of land in Afghanistan. So again, why this is important is Imran Awan on his Facebook puts this guy and several pictures of Muhammad Shah, Pir Muhammad Shah, on his Facebook. He also, they also have the story where their mother says that she was imprisoned, her cell phone was hacked, they fled to Pakistan. An interesting aside to this story, I've got him here later on in Lahore on the 27th of July with his train ticket, but there was a plane that left when Donald Trump was getting inaugurated from Karachi, which is down in the south on the coast, flying to I believe it was United Arab Emirates, or anyway, it was an interesting thing. There were 7 handwritten tickets, and the passengers stood in the aisleway of the 747, which is a big safety violation. It was a totally sold out plane, but there was 7. So if you count up the Awan brothers, there's 4 Awan brothers. There's 2 wives, and there's also, Imran's is not here, pictured here, but his baby. So, and again, he's the one who's putting Islamic Jihad on his website. The Indian Times is the one reporting on the ISI drug, gangs. It's long been known that the ISI supports the drug business, and that's again from the UNODC, which is typically pretty controlled. Opium, by the way, has been around 500 years before Christ. This drug trade has been going on a long, long time. So this is just kind of a focus in on this. The synthetic drugs up here, coming into this part of the Punjab, opium and poppy husk coming in here, all coming into Punjab. Again, this is the UN saying this, not me. Okay, so some more UN data here. The advantage of keeping the Afghani farmers, the opium farmers, kind of dumb and moving stuff for kind of being the pack mules in this rat line is that all the value added gets to be done in Pakistan. 90% of it's grown in Afghanistan, but the refinement is done in Pakistan, and that's really where the value is aided. By reducing, in these border towns, by reducing the opium to morphine, there's an 88% reduction there in volume. And of course, obviously, conversely, the value per ton goes way up as well. So, and again, I mentioned that this little border between Pakistan and Tajikistan, there's a very little strip here of Afghanistan. It's very easy to fly a helicopter over that mountainous region into Tajikistan, which is exactly what I believe is happening. That is what Pir Muhammad Shah is doing right now. So people said, I want to understand the drug line a little bit better, the rat line, and so that's what I thought I would do. Now remember, the person who set up all the English teachers in Tajikistan and all the way through the stands, all the way to Turkey, was none other than Gulen. And he's in the news lately because there was a secret plan by, it looks like, Devin Nunes and General Michael Flynn to kidnap Gulen, which is unnecessary because Trump could just extradite him if he wanted to, because we have an extradition treaty with Turkey. So this is what I love about my news versus kind of the cursory mainstream news, because you already understand who Gulen is, you understand why the money in Malaysia and so forth, the money motive, which is critical to understanding this news. And you understand the folks that are the runners that are currently in prison, which is Reza Zarab. So again, I'm going to show now how the money gets over to Malaysia. Here are Gulen's north and south routes I've shown before. There's the south route, there's the north route. Again, the English teachers in all these madras schools all along the way. And also going in other directions as well, to UAE and so forth. But here's the money rat line right here to Bangladesh, overland to Myanmar. You're going to find that's going to be, this is the flight that was added by Bangladesh Airways. You're also going to find refined opium, or refined heroin going that direction as well. But I think you're also going to see a lot of the money going in that direction to the Malaysian banks. Okay, so yesterday I was a little bit wrong. Cameron didn't go on Janine. I think they probably did the vetting on Montgomery, found out about the bad check writing thing that happened with him. But I get to still get the NGA mango juice rat line, which is, this will come out eventually, that he was critical in bringing in the NGA information and combining that with the NSA information to make this to revolutionize the management of this rat line. Not so much Brennan. Brennan was the guy who gave him the task, but it's going to be James Clapper who really revolutionized the management of the rat line. People wanted me to explain the rat lines a little bit more, so I'm doing that right now. Now this is the mango center of the world here, Chicago O'Hare. This is the Haitian building Haiti one mango at a time. You're going to have the Alfonso Indian mangoes coming in there. You're going to have the Pakistani mangoes coming in there, and you're going to have the Kent Mexican mangoes coming in there. That's not all, but you're going to see here Jake Sullivan and all the Huma and Hillary always talking about mangoes. This is the New Dawn Corporation that's created the new era that Hillary creates, bringing in the Pakistani mangoes. I believe the Indian mango trade was going on since 2004. Again, through Raja Foods right here in the shadow of Northwestern University over in Skokie. So, again, terrorism ties here, and also people are going to say, well, you know, you're kind of knocking on Northwestern a little bit on the body parts rat line. Well, again, this is the guy who's dealing. He's been cited several times in the Iraq to Iran body part rat line. So again, if I see a drug rat line, I look for the body part rat line, and that's the rat line from going from Home and Square over to Northwestern Surgical, downtown Chicago. Again, when I see things like this, all we have to do, if they want to put cameras in this Home and Square tomorrow and start letting lawyers go see their clients and start letting visitation hours for clients and so forth, and start filming the intake process and the filming when people leave. It doesn't seem like anybody ever leaves Home and Square. Then I'll take this slide down. But until this process has some light, I'm not going to. So one of the ways air traffic is controlled is there's 22 different what they call Air Route Transit Control, or ARTC. I call it ARTC for short. The Chicago ARTC, Air Route Transit Control Center, is in suburban Chicago called Aurora, Chicago. They manage a very large area here, and I believe I went looking for the Gary flight records. They're going to manage all the flight records of all, especially incoming produce. You're going to have an ag tag on the produce. It's going to say this needs to go get checked, and then they're going to check it off as they get their ag certificate. They're going to have all these flights booked. These smaller airports, Midway and Chicago, Gary, O'Hare is obviously huge. I believe the produce is coming in and then flying to Gary as a hop, and then from Gary or Midway, then going on to Washington, D.C. I think it's the hub for all 26 or 22 different locations, but mainly the northern ones. You're going to fly into Indianapolis, you're going to fly into Detroit, you're going to fly into Cleveland for those areas as well from here. So that is where I went to get the records. I found out, oops, though, we had somebody in 2014, a contractor wanting to commit suicide there, smoking a splib, a joint, before he committed suicide, and he just had to burn the FAA records, the ag records and flight records for these smaller airports. He just had to burn those before he committed suicide. Turns out he didn't commit suicide, though, but he did have to burn those ag records. So I'm not going to go any further today. I just wanted to give a little background on some of these rat lines. I've talked a lot about these rat lines coming into Washington, D.C., these safe houses. The next version, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Montreal rat line. This is the Washington, D.C. rat line for the hackers. But I'm going to talk more about people coming into Montreal and then coming down into New York through the safe houses in Montreal for that rat line.